In scenario 11, I see that PCB cannot connect to the web server, so I'm going to go with PCB and just see what it can connect to. So I'm going to ping the router, and let's see what happens. Fast forward that, and I am timing out to the router, so I have a problem between PCB and router 1. So let me just go to the switch and see what's going on in my switch. And I'll go to the command line, and let me widen this out a little bit so I can see the full command. And enable show interface status. And I see that all 4 ports are indeed connected, and they're all in VLAN 10. So let's look at PCB now, and let's just type in ipconfig. And it looks like PCB does not have an IP address. In scenario 12, we see that PCA cannot print to print array, so we have a problem between PCA and print array. So let's go ahead and start up PCA, and I'll go to the desktop and command window, and I can't ping it, so let's just check its configuration. And I do have the correct IP address and the subnet mask. So next I want to take a look at the switch and make sure all the ports are in the proper VLAN. So I'm going to go into here and show interface status. I have to go to enable privileged exec mode first, show interface status. And let's see what we get. And I see that port 04 is connected, but it's not in VLAN 10. In scenario 13, I see that users in VLAN 10 cannot connect to users in VLAN 20. So let's take a look at this. I guess I can pick any PC here, so I'll just start with PCB. And let's see if users in VLAN 10 can ping their router. .192.168.10.1. And I'm going to speed this up and bring my window back up, and turns out users in PCB cannot ping their router, so my problem is somewhere between the PCs and the router. So let's just look at the switch next. See what's going on in the switch. I suppose I could look at the router too, but it doesn't really matter. So enable show interface status, and I see ports 01 through 4 are connected, and they're all in VLAN 10. And gigabit 01 is connected and in VLAN 10 also. I can check and make sure, and I see that S1 with show CDP neighbors, that S1 is indeed connected to R1. S1's port is gig 001, and the port that S1 is connected to on the router port is gig 000. So now let's take a look at this router. And I'm going to go into command line, and I can do a couple of commands. I can do enable show interface gig 000 show, and I see that the line is up, it is connected, and the address is 192.168.1.1. It should be 192.168.10.1. In scenario 14, I see that PCA cannot connect to printer A, so I'm just going to check the configuration on PCA and switch 1. Show, and I'm going to type ipconfig on the PC, and I see that my IP address, subnet mask, and default gateway is correct. So now let's look at switch 1 and make sure all of those switch ports are in the proper VLAN, make sure they're all connected, and let's see what we get from show enable. I could do show VLANs. Let's look at that command. Show VLAN. And I can see it 01, 02, and 03 are in VLAN 10, but 04, it's still in VLAN 1. So I need to put port 04 in VLAN 10, and I'll be all set. In scenario 15, I see that users cannot connect to the web server. So I can really pick PC A, B, or C to troubleshoot this. I'm going to start with PC C. So let me just ping 192. Let me see if the users can connect to their router. And let me fast forward this and bring my window back up. And it turns out that none of these users can even get to the router. So now I know my problem is somewhere in here. Since it's all the users, I don't expect that all of them have their IP addresses misconfigured. So I'm going to just skip over to switch 1 and let me look at the ports on switch 1. So I'm going to do enable show interface status. And I see that my 4 access ports, they're all connected to it. And I see that gig01 is connected as well. So I know I expect that all PCs are configured properly. I don't think they're all misconfigured. It looks like my switch port is correct. I can do one more thing while I'm here. Show CDP neighbors. And that tells me that my port gigabit 01 is connected to router 1 on port gig 000. So now let's just look at router 1. It's probably, I know the port is up or CDP neighbors wouldn't work, so it's probably an IP address configuration on router 1. So let me just do enable show interface gig 000. And it is up and it's connected, but router 1's IP address is wrong. It should be 10.1, it's 10.10.